Hello, and welcome back to Bourbon with Bill. Today's topic is going to be our client onboarding process. This is how you get to be a client of Dunn Dill CPAs. Most other CPA firms have very, very similar procedures. So let me kind of walk you through the process so you see what we do and why we do it. The first thing we have you do usually when you want to be a client is to fill out our new client form. The new client form gives us basic information so we can have a good discussion with you about what your needs are. And it gives us some of that basic information. So if we know you have kids, we have their names, and it gives us good talking points and gets us familiar with you so that you can we can understand what you need, and you can understand how we might do that for you. The next thing we usually ask for is historical documents. If you're a business, we want your incorporation papers, we want financial statements, tax returns. If you're personal, same thing, tax returns. There may be other documents we want along the way, but at least in the beginning we ask for those basic documents. There may be a few other things with a business. If you're a sub-S corporation, for example, we might ask for that letter from the IRS. If you're a nonprofit organization, we might ask for the IRS determination letter. Those things are important because we need to know that those steps actually got taken, because if not, it changes our approach and changes the pricing and changes sometimes what we do for you. So we really just try to make sure we have all the pieces at the table. The next step after that is the client interview. We always want to see you face to face and talk with you about the things we're seeing on the paper. It gives us time to get clarification of certain items, get answers for certain items. We might determine there's more questions, or that there's more work to do, or that maybe you've done the work and we're not seeing it, and we need to understand that. So we're always looking to make sure that we can talk face to face. It's a little old school, but it always brings out a lot more information than if you try to do a phone interview or you try to do something else. It just really works so much better. Once we've done all those things, the next step is for us to prepare our engagement letter. That letter states the work that we're doing, the pricing, the frequency, and it also states the things that we're not doing, so that you understand that there are limitations to the scope of what we do for you. This isn't a we will do anything in the world for you that we could possibly ever do type letter. This is more of a here's the steps, here's the things, here's the pricing, and if you want more later, or there's different things that you want, we can always add those to the engagement letter at any time, or simply redo the engagement letter if the size of the business changes or some circumstances change. We change the engagement letter as needed. But we always want to tell you in advance what we're doing and what we're charging for it. Once this is all complete and you've signed the engagement letter, or we're in agreement, then we get to work. Then we can get more information. We get login information to bank accounts. We can get login information to online accounting services, so on, so on, so on. So we can get in and start performing the work for you. We're going to make suggestions along the way as we see things. The value of our service is for you to be able to count on us to make sure that you're doing things properly, that if there's additional things you need to be doing, that you're doing them. If there's new things you can do to improve your business profitability or save taxes, or both, that we're telling you those things on some type of interim basis. Usually we look at those things at least quarterly, making sure that everything is taken care of. It's real important, if you're a client, to keep the lines of communication open. There's a lot of different ways nowadays to communicate. Certainly phone, personal interviews, stopping by the office for a meeting, those are all good. Email is good because it documents the conversation. Text messages are handy, but they're really not the best because they don't allow us to document the conversation in such a way as we need to. We are required in many cases to keep the documentation that you're giving us, whether it's verbal, in an email, whatever. And if it's in a text message, it becomes very difficult to get out of a text message and into something that we can save it. A lot of the document processing softwares that we use don't accept text message information. So it becomes very tough sometimes. We have to take additional steps. And I will tell you, the worst of all is to take a picture of a document with your cell phone and try to send it to us via a text message or even an email. Those pictures are not meant to pick up the minute details of a document. And if the document is faded, it's folded. I had one where the person had their thumb over the number that I needed to see. It's just very difficult. So it's really much better to make sure we get good, clean copies of all those documents. The other thing that I will tell you about giving us documents is, please always make sure that you're copying the back of the documents, unless the page is blank, of course. Bank statements have a certain number of pages and they're numbered. If page 7 doesn't have anything on it and you don't give it to us, we don't know that it doesn't have anything on it. So you need to remember that. IRS letters notoriously are printed front and back. So I can't tell you the number of times that we've gotten IRS letters where we've gotten page 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 and leaving all the other pages off. So make sure you're giving us all the information. Even if you don't really understand what the information might be on the back, make sure that we're getting that information. This sounds like a lot to do to set up a relationship with a CPA, but because we're your trusted advisor, we need to have all this information to be able to give you the best advice possible. And that's what you're paying for. That's what you're expecting us to do. So the more you help us gather the information and have accurate information and timely information, the better we can serve you. That's why sometimes we pester you for documents, sometimes we're telling you there's one letter missing or whatever. Just do your best to get us that information, because if it wasn't important, we wouldn't be asking for it. Today's bourbon is Maker's 46. It is a top shelf version of the original Makers, and I think it tastes better. I think it is much more flavorful than the regular Makers. And so if you're a Makers fan, try this one. This one's very, very good. So cheers, and thanks for watching. And please be kind to everyone and have a profitable day.